For thousands of years, humans have shared stories of strange creatures and mythical monsters hiding in the world's darkest corners. But with the rise of 21st century technology, we're gaining a whole new perspective on these elusive and often misunderstood beings. From bizarre monsters to blood-sucking deer, here are 15 creatures so terrifying that if they weren't caught on camera, no one would believe they exist. Number 15. Coney Island Creature. Alright, while we're on the subject of urban legends and cryptid creations, we should probably turn our attention toward the startling piece of footage that our team of researchers recently uncovered. Filmed by TikTok user at Natalie1526 and uploaded back in 2020, as if it were something straight out of a Stranger Things episode, this terrifying sea creature was pulled out of an ocean by an unsuspecting fisherman who was left gobsmacked after the truly bizarre three-legged creature emerged from the depths of the Atlantic Ocean, bound along the pier side of New York's famous Coney Island. The strange creature appeared to be still breathing after it had been reeled out of the water, and while it was quivering on the wooden panels, bystanders attempted to determine what the heck this thing was. Thankfully, it didn't take scientists too long to offer an explanation as to this aquatic monster's origins. Several marine experts have suggested that this sea creature was some kind of elasmobranch, which is a type of cartilaginous fish like sharks, stingrays, or skates. However, the report also added that it was incredibly difficult to fully identify the animal, as only around 5% of our oceans have fully been mapped and explored to date. While these scientists were relatively certain that the Coney Island creature was some kind of underdeveloped skate or ray, it could potentially be a never-before-seen sea monster of the deep. What do you guys think? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments section below. Number 14. Probosus Monkey. Okay, we know what you're thinking. And while this monkey may not be the most aesthetically conventional of animals, the story behind their distinctive and elongated nose appendage is one of the more intriguing and astonishing in nature. Feast your eyes on the Probosus monkey, a primate that gets somewhat of a bad rep on the internet due to the fact they've got a huge, fleshy bulb of a nose hanging from their face. However, to some ancient cultures such as the ancient Egyptians, these animals were so fascinating that they were worshipped as very unique creatures and were believed to have been favored by the gods. Although they were once widespread, these animals are now native and endemic exclusively to the remote island of Borneo in southeastern Asia, where they generally live in coastal areas and favor the shelter of the mangrove and swamp forest. As highly social animals, Probosus monkeys generally form large troops of up to 30 animals, and in areas with sufficient food and resources, these incredible animals have also been known to form supergroups, living in complex and intricate societies in their jungle kingdom. Although they may seem like something from an ancient age of mythology, these astonishing animals are the real deal. Number 13. Gulian Finches. Sure, sea creatures are pretty darn weird, but have you ever seen a bird with an alien glow-in-the-dark beak? Let's introduce you to the infant Gulian finch, a type of baby bird that's developed one of the more unique and intriguing mouths in the natural world. As a member of a small family of birds widely known as the Australian finches, this species encompasses both the African silverbill and the Gulian finch, an offshoot of the finch family of birds that all contain unexpected and intriguing mouth markings. After hatching, these bizarre marks, such as their beaks being rimmed with a black lining and glow-in-the-dark beads, are so darn disturbing that they commonly inspire comparisons to aliens. Also known as grass finches, this small family of birds can be found in Africa, Australia, and Asia. And although they can be commonly found in the wild, scientists have struggled to explain why they've developed such elaborate patterns as youngsters. One of the leading theories involves brood parasites, a large number of birds who lay their eggs in other birds' nests, such as the cuckoo, leaving the parenting duties to the unwitting host parents. Some scientists believe that to combat this issue, the Gulian finch evolved elaborate and unique mouth markings so that the parent could identify their infants and discard the foreign invaders. Incredible. Number 12. Ilipika. Speaking of cute, feast your eyes on the Ilipika, a tiny mammal that lives in the remote mountainous regions of China. And given the fact that it's so darn tiny, it's rarely ever spotted in its native habitat. Several years ago, one of the first recorded sightings of the Ilipika went viral across the internet, and it's been considered the first verified time the animal had been spotted in the wild since 1983. Endemic to the Tian Shan Mountains of Xinjiang, China, adult Ilipikas grow to just 8 inches in length and weigh roughly around just a half pound, with a lifespan of just 7 years. There are thought to be less than 1,000 of these extraordinary animals currently living in the mountain habitat. Over the past several decades, with the ever-growing decline of grasslands in the Tian Shan Mountains, the Ilipika has been forced higher and higher into the snowy peaks, forced to hide at higher elevations in order to avoid ever-growing predators. While conservation efforts have currently brought the Ilipika population to relatively sustainable levels, without critical intervention, these incredible animals may disappear forever. Number 11. Horseshoe crabs. Alright, while this next entry may appear pretty average on the surface, deep beneath their hardened shell, the rare and elusive horseshoe crab possesses one of the more insanely valuable resources on Earth. This is actually an insane time for horseshoe crabs. People come from all over the world to see them. Worth a staggering $53,320 per gallon, horseshoe crabs use a unique substance known as hemocyanin to carry oxygen throughout their blood, and because of that, they're incredibly sensitive to toxins from bacteria. Because of this rare biological trait, their blue blood has become a crucial tool in testing for contamination in everything from surgical implants to vaccine production. Every year, thousands of crabs are gently harvested in parts of the US and Asia for biomedical purposes before being returned to the ocean, though survival rates after release remain a concern among conservationists. Their spawning events, which take place during full moons in spring, attract massive numbers of migrating shorebirds that rely on horseshoe crab eggs for food, forming a fragile ecological chain. The Atlantic horseshoe crab, in particular, has seen significant population decline in recent years due to overharvesting and habitat loss. Conservation groups have pushed for tighter regulation of biomedical extraction to ensure the species doesn't spiral into endangerment. In the biomedical world, this unique function is perfect to carry out clinical trials, and horseshoe crabs are considered one of the more valuable animals on the planet. Despite existing for hundreds of millions of years, horseshoe crabs are virtually unchanged from their ancient relatives, and their biological components are the perfect example of the phrase, "If it ain't broke, don't fix it." Technically speaking, the horseshoe crab is a living fossil, and they've remained unchanged for at least 445 million years, well before dinosaurs existed. Having an average lifespan of well over 20 years, the horseshoe crab is a true master of survival. Now it's time for today's topic. On the night of July 17, 2025, a Tennessee man named David Morales was driving along State Route 33, a winding rural highway near the remote forests of Norris Dam State Park, just north of Knoxville. It was around 1 a.m., and the fog-covered road was silent, until David's headlights revealed something that made his blood run cold. Standing motionless on the double yellow lines was a gaunt, hairless creature with glowing red eyes and grotesquely long limbs. David hit the brakes, fumbled for his phone, and began filming. The creature moved slowly, almost calculatingly, across the road. It then stopped, turned its head toward him, and vanished into the dense Appalachian woods. The chilling footage, now spreading across the internet, shows a bizarre, emaciated figure with jointed limbs that seem too long for any known animal. Locals near Anderson County have long told stories of strange livestock disappearances and unexplained screeches echoing through the night. The Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency has yet to release a statement, but cryptid researchers believe this could be one of the clearest modern sightings of the legendary Chupacabra. As for David, he simply says, "I don't know what that was, but I'm never driving that stretch alone again." Number 10. Bilby. Alright, let's forget about the horseshoe crabs and give ourselves a much-needed dose of cuteness. With ears like a rabbit, legs like a kangaroo, and the distinctive snout of a bandicoot, it's pretty easy to understand why the rare and elusive Bilby is often mistaken for a creature of myth and legend. Native to the outback of Australia, the word Bilby comes from an Aboriginal name meaning long-nosed rat, although they're also known as rabbit bandicoots and dalgite. Endemic to the desert regions of Australia, these animals are highly adaptive, and at one point, it's believed that they inhabited more than 70% of Australia. Bilbies are nocturnal, using their excellent sense of smell and large ears to detect insects and seeds buried deep in the sand. Their ears not only provide them with sharp hearing but also help regulate body temperature during the scorching desert days. These creatures are known to dig elaborate tunnel systems up to 10 feet deep, providing shelter from predators and harsh weather conditions. Bilbies are solitary by nature, only coming together during the breeding season, and females carry their young in backward-facing pouches, an evolutionary trait that keeps dirt from entering while they burrow. Conservationists have launched several initiatives like National Bilby Day and even replaced the Easter Bunny with the Easter Bilby to raise awareness of their plight. Despite their shy nature, bilbies play a vital role in desert ecosystems by aerating the soil and spreading plant seeds as they forage. Zoos and wildlife sanctuaries across Australia have joined captive breeding programs in a race against extinction. Some reintroduction efforts have seen small populations successfully restored in protected reserves, though their survival remains precarious without constant protection from invasive species like foxes and feral cats. However, after human development and the introduction of invasive predators, the bilby is now only found in just 15% of the continent, isolated to a few remote parts of Western Australia, Western Queensland, and the Northern Territory. As master burrowers, these extraordinary animals will rarely surface, making them one of the more elusive animals on the planet. Number 9. Kotamundi. Ever heard of a Kotamundi? Well, you're not alone, because these strange and elusive mammals are considered to be one of the more strange and most surprising animals on the planet. Technically speaking, the Kotamundi is part of the raccoon family, and despite the fact that they mainly inhabit the jungles of South and Central America, they behave strikingly similar to their trash-hunting North American counterparts. Visually, this animal looks like a combination of a lemur, a raccoon, and a monkey, and they're defined by their elongated, piglet-like noses. These snouts are highly flexible and sensitive, capable of bending in multiple directions to sniff out grubs hidden deep in bark or burrowed in loose soil. Coatis are diurnal, meaning they are active during the day, often foraging for hours before curling up in tree hollows at night. Despite their cute appearance, they're surprisingly tough and can become aggressive when threatened, using their sharp claws and teeth to defend themselves. They also communicate using a variety of chirps, squeals, and snorts, which help them maintain contact with others in the dense forest canopy. Their long, ringed tails aren't just for show. They serve as a balancing tool when navigating narrow branches or jumping between trees. Some indigenous tribes consider coatis to be spiritual creatures, representing curiosity and mischief in local folklore. Unfortunately, their populations are under threat in certain areas due to deforestation and the exotic pet trade. Conservationists have been working to study their behavior in the wild, tagging individuals and tracking their range to better understand their ecological role. Favoring the forest canopies, these incredible animals regularly hang out in trees, where they use their long snout to forage insects and fruit amongst the treetops. Incredibly, the female coatis live in large groups ranging up to 20 individuals at a time, whereas adult males choose to live as solitary creatures, preferring to roam the jungles alone in isolation. While there is little known outside of their native habitats, Kotamundi are some of the more fascinating animals on the planet. Number 8. Tarscia. Sure, while the next mysterious creature may resemble something straight out of the Star Wars universe, the truth behind the bizarre primate known as the Tarscia is one of nature's most complicated issues. While they're little known across the rest of the world, this extraordinary creature is one of the tiniest primates on Earth, measuring in at around roughly the same size as a tennis ball. Native to the Philippines, while they weigh under a single pound, these cute creatures aren't to be underestimated, and they're officially known as the only entirely carnivorous primate, feasting on insects and often chowing down on small birds and lizards. With their enormous, unblinking eyes and ability to rotate their heads nearly 180 degrees, tarsiers are evolutionarily built for nocturnal hunting, moving silently through the trees like ghostly phantoms. They also possess one of the highest known jumping abilities relative to body size, capable of leaping over 40 times their body length in a single bound. This agility, paired with razor-sharp hearing, allows them to detect the faintest rustle of prey in the dense forest undergrowth. Interestingly, their fingers are incredibly elongated, helping them grip tree branches with precision as they stalk their next meal. But despite their otherworldly abilities, they remain incredibly fragile creatures, both physically and emotionally. Their specialized biology makes them nearly impossible to breed or rehabilitate in captivity. However, there's a darker side to these incredible animals. For the past several decades, criminals have captured these creatures en masse, keeping them in cages in an attempt to hook tourists into paying for selfies with the wide-eyed critters. For the Tarscia, this existence is too bleak to handle, and these otherwise wonderful creatures will often choose to take their own lives when they're held in captivity. These tiny creatures get so traumatized by loud noises as well as being touched by humans that the resulting experience is often too much to bear. In many cases, if a Tarscia is put into a cage, it will often last just a single day before succumbing to the trauma. As the oldest primate on the planet, dating back to at least 55 million years ago, unless these animals are saved by conservation, they may disappear entirely. Number 7. Emotional support gator. While emotional support animals are an incredible and necessary demonstration of humans and animals living in symbiosis, the last thing that you'd expect to see is an emotional support alligator. For decades, dogs and even cats have been prescribed to people who suffer from a wide range of disabilities and conditions as both therapeutic recovery means and safety methods in order to keep their humans safe and secure. However, for one 65-year-old man from Pennsylvania who was suffering from severe depression, the only solace that he could find was from his 60-pound, federally licensed emotional support alligator. "I don't know what I would have done without him, little Wally." Most people wouldn't even dream of sharing a home with an alligator, let alone cuddling one. But Joey insists Wally is different, calm, gentle, and incredibly affectionate. The pair quickly developed a unique bond, with Wally often lying next to Joey on the couch, resting his head on his lap like a loyal dog. Wally has even visited schools, senior centers, and hospitals as part of emotional wellness programs, bringing smiles to people who never thought they'd pet an alligator. Remarkably, Wally seems to thrive on affection, showing no signs of aggression and often licking people as a sign of trust. Their story has gone viral, with countless people online praising the bond and questioning long-held beliefs about animal behavior. Despite skepticism from some corners, Joey says he has never felt safer or more emotionally grounded. After being rescued from just outside of Orlando as a 14-month-old youngster, little Wally became best friends with his owner, Joey Henney, and now the pair are inseparable, often going on walks together and even swimming together in his pool. After being diagnosed with depression, Joey refused to take medication and instead found a source of recovery from the most unlikeliest of places, his pet alligator. Hey, it's not about how you get there, it's about how your friends make you feel along the way. Number 6. Musk Deer. There are few things as bizarre as a vampire-toothed deer, and yet the little-known musk deer continues to surprise scientists and animal enthusiasts alike. You see, while there are many ancient myths about strangely fanged four-legged creatures in the wild places of our planet, the Kashmir musk deer is much more than just a legend. While deer are more commonly distinguished by their antlers, the musk deer evolved to do things differently, and instead they sprouted long, sharp canine teeth that jut out just below their lower jaw. These eerie-looking fangs often cause the deer to be mistaken for some kind of predator, even though they are completely herbivorous. Local folklore in parts of the Himalayas tells tales of ghost deer that silently watch travelers from the cliffs, which many now believe may have been sightings of the elusive musk deer. The animal's secretive nature and preference for steep, forested terrain make them incredibly hard to track, even for experienced wildlife biologists. In fact, some researchers have spent entire field seasons in the region without encountering a single specimen. For hundreds of years, the musk deer was considered an urban legend, but in 1948, during an expedition through a valley of Afghanistan, a team of scientists caught a glimpse of the never-before-seen creature. Since then, there have only ever been a handful of similar instances, and while the Kashmir musk deer is officially listed as an endangered species, researchers really have no idea how many animals currently live in the wild. Scientists believe that the male members of the species developed these frightening fangs during the breeding season, where they actually use their tusk-like teeth in an effort to fight off competing males. Amazing. Number 5. Shoebill. Alright, let's leave the cuteness of the musk deer behind, and instead take a look at this bizarre demon bird from the swamps of Eastern Africa. If you already have a phobia of terrifying birds, then you'll probably be pretty unsettled by the haunting gaze of the shoebill. For all intents and purposes, the shoebill is actually one of the more nightmarish animals on Earth. On top of the fact that the bird has a demonic grin that could put most horror villains to shame, the shoebill is also a ravenous carnivore that can often reach heights of up to 4 feet tall. When approached by humans, it will often stand completely still, locking eyes with an unblinking stare that feels more like a threat than curiosity. In fact, many local tribes once considered the shoebill to be a bad omen, believing that its appearance foretold death or disaster. Its call, if you ever hear it, isn't a melodic bird song, but rather a deep, mechanical-sounding bill clatter that resembles the cocking of a machine gun. Wildlife researchers who've encountered the bird in the wild often describe it as one of the most intimidating standoffs they've ever had with an animal. In some cases, these long-legged demons have been recorded at heights of over 5 feet, making them one of the tallest birds in the world. Commonly known to feast on turtles, fish, and even young crocodiles that are unfortunate enough to try and tackle it. As a means of hunting, the shoebill uses its gigantic and terrifying beak to decapitate its prey in a single swipe before consuming it. If that's not enough, not only does it treat its prey with merciless disdain, but also its children. If 2 shoebill eggs hatch, the parent will instantly reject the younger sibling, often encouraging the more dominant hatchling to fight its sibling to death. From an evolutionary perspective, scientists consider this to be a form of energy conservation, but there's no denying that the shoebill is one of the more shocking animals on Earth. Number 4. Inipneest's eximia. Alright, while the shoebill may be an ancient animal of mythical proportions, there are a surprising number of recently discovered monsters that have recently been discovered in the dark depths of the ocean. Let us introduce you to the headless chicken monster, an animal so bizarre that it's difficult to understand where it came from. First captured on camera back in 2018, the headless chicken monster is considered one of the more mysterious deep-sea cucumbers ever discovered and has left researchers scratching their heads as to what the heck this thing is. What makes this creature even more peculiar is its strange mode of locomotion. It swims using a set of transparent, wing-like fins and glows faintly with bioluminescence, giving it an eerie, ghost-like appearance in the pitch-black ocean. Its gelatinous body and translucent appendages make it look more like an alien than any typical sea cucumber we've ever seen. Scientists believe it spends much of its life floating through the water column rather than crawling on the seabed like its relatives, adding another layer of confusion to its classification. And although it's harmless, the name alone, Headless Chicken Monster, has sparked both fascination and fear among those who study the ocean's abyss. Its strange anatomy allows it to filter feed on detritus in complete darkness, silently drifting through the freezing black waters. Officially known as the Anypnea seximia, this creature was first filmed off the east coast of Antarctica, and it's believed to be the first time that the species has ever been discovered in the area. The only other time that the headless chicken monster has been sighted was in the Gulf of Mexico, thousands of miles apart, leaving scientists bewildered as to how its habitat could be so widespread. The truth is, this anomalous sea cucumber has since become a complete and utter mystery, and the only thing that's known about them is that they are perfectly acclimated to the extreme pressures of the deep sea. Who knows what other strange and unidentified monsters are lurking below? Number 3. Opera dog. Here's something you certainly don't see every day, a dog singing opera. While many canines have a passion for howling and hollering, few of them can hold a tune quite like Hugo, an opera-loving dog that has shot to internet stardom after his owner snapped a video of him singing to a classic slice of opera. At first, Hugo was seen sleeping soundly on the floor, but as his favorite opera singer, Pavarotti, takes to the stage, the roaring orchestra wakes Hugo from his slumber, and he quickly joins in with the operatic chorus. The video quickly went viral, racking up millions of views and drawing admiration from dog lovers and music fans alike. Some professional vocal coaches even weighed in, noting that Hugo's pitch control and dramatic timing were shockingly well aligned with the music. A local music school invited Hugo for a live demonstration, and the canine tenor did not disappoint, belting out his signature howl to thunderous applause. His owner later revealed that Hugo had shown signs of musical sensitivity ever since he was a puppy, often reacting to classical pieces with soft whimpers or perked-up ears. Interestingly, Hugo doesn't respond to just any genre. Rock and pop leave him indifferent, but classical arias always stir something inside him. Incredibly, Hugo the dog even waits patiently while the verses play out, and then each time as the chorus arrives, the charismatic dog can't help but join back in. While it might not be the most startling of scientific discoveries, there's no denying the fact that this wonder dog had his moment to shine. Amazing. Number 2. Alright, if you thought that the Probosus monkey was weird, then take a look at the a strange creature that's long been associated with folklore and legend. Although some people consider this mysterious mammal to be quirky, cute, and fluffy, many societies native to Madagascar have traditionally considered the to be a troubling omen of ill luck. For this reason, throughout history, these bizarre-looking creatures have often been killed on sight, and combined with a devastating campaign of habitat destruction, this has recently put the ai's population in grave danger. One of their strangest features is their elongated middle finger, which they use to tap on trees and extract grubs, a behavior known as percussive foraging. This unique feeding technique gives them an eerie resemblance to something out of a dark fairy tale, further fueling the superstitions surrounding them. Scientists believe that the ai's odd traits are a result of extreme evolutionary specialization, making them one of nature's most unusual adaptations. Because they're so rarely seen and mostly active at night, many locals still consider them to be supernatural beings rather than just misunderstood primates. As you stare deep into the hauntingly wide eyes of this unique creature, you may wonder if this new mythical animal has somehow glimpsed the prophecy of its own destruction. Although they may not look like primates at first glance, surprisingly, the is closely related to chimps, apes, and even us humans. Endemic to Madagascar, they spend their entire lives in the high canopies of the rainforest trees, avoiding coming down to earth for the vast majority of their lifetime. Generally speaking, they're peaceful and nocturnal creatures, and their current survival is owed to spending their time in densely constructed nests of leaves and branches. Tragically, however, the is currently one of the more threatened species on the planet, and as the forests and jungles of Madagascar are currently being devastated, the fate of this elusive and mystical creature hangs in the balance. Number 1. Gloucester canary. And finally, what better way to end this list than with the true canary in the coal mine, a bird so bizarre that its haircut makes it look like a member of the Beatles. Feast your eyes on the Gloucester canary, a tiny songbird that once originated in England but now can only be found in the wilds of the Canary Islands, Madeira, and Azores. Originally bred in the 1920s by crossing several canary varieties, the Gloucester quickly gained attention for its signature mop-top crest, known as the corona. There are actually two types, the crested corona and the non-crested consort. While both are equally charming, it's the corona that steals the show with its comical, bowl-cut appearance. Breeding Gloucester canaries requires special care and attention to preserve their unique head feathers without causing genetic defects. They're not just cute, they're accomplished vocalists, known for their cheerful trills and melodic tunes that fill any room with sound. Many bird shows even feature singing competitions where Gloucesters are judged not just on appearance but vocal performance. Despite their rising popularity in the pet world, efforts have been made to maintain genetic diversity and avoid overbreeding. These birds are incredibly social and thrive in environments with regular human interaction and mental stimulation. Their playful behavior, combined with their musical talent, makes them both a visual and auditory delight. The thing is, while these birds are incredibly rare in the wild, as pets, they're considered one of the more sought-after birds on the planet. Favored by bird breeders and avian enthusiasts who celebrate these incredible tiny songbirds for their strange and startling appearance. While these birds won't be singing a psychedelic hit, their song is certainly just as sweet. And there you have it, 15 creatures so unbelievable, you'd never believe they were real if they weren't caught on camera. What did you think? Share your thoughts in the comments below. As always, thanks for watching all the way to the end. You've been watching Thought Trail. See you next time.